I'm here with Sony's newest flagship. It's the Xperia XZ phone. It's got loads of camera technology on board. Some of that tech is brought on from older phones and some of it's new, but let's take a look at what's inside here. Around the back, that's a 23 megapixel camera, while on the front that's a 13 megapixel camera. Now those are very big sensors, but there's a lot more going on here. For starters, Sony hopes that this thing will take a photo very, very quickly, so you're not hanging around and missing the moment. The company reckons that you'll be able to take a photo in 0.6 seconds. Now we're only getting a brief hands-on here, but I have to say that it does feel pretty fast when it comes to hammering that shutter button. There's no point in taking a photo quickly if that photo is then really blurry and looks rubbish. So there's some interesting focus technology going on here as well. The first is laser autofocus. That's something that we have seen before in smartphones. What that's basically doing is sending out a beam of light to try and very accurately gauge the distance between your phone and the subject. The thinking is that that's going to lead to better low-light photography. Now something that's pretty interesting is what Sony calls predictive hybrid autofocus. Now what that does is it lets the phone actually track objects. You can see here I'm tapping on an object and the phone is monitoring whereabouts it is in the frame, even if it's moving towards or away from the phone. Now the idea there is that the phone can make a best guess at where exactly the subject is going to be when you actually hammer down that shutter button. We were playing around, taking some photos using that technology of these moving toy trains here, and they were looking pretty crisp even though the trains were moving. Not perfect, but not bad. Finally, if you'd rather take matters into your own hands, something I like is that Sony's added manual focus. So using this on-screen dial here, you can control exactly what's sharp and what's blurry. The XZ also comes with an RGB IR sensor. Now what Sony says is that that's going to make for better colour reproduction. It's going to let the phone do a better job of gauging white balance, and overall what you'll get are more accurate hues. There's 4K video recording in play as well, and Sony's touting this as the first phone with 5-axis image stabilization. We've only been playing around with it again for a few minutes, but I have to say that some of the moving footage we got was looking really quite smooth when we played it back. So some interesting, promising camera ideas in here, but of course we won't know the full story until we get it into our labs for the full review where we can really put it through its paces. So stay tuned.